"The weather is wonderful today, Nina. We're going to have such a great time on this trip." Amelia Miller sat in the driver's seat, happy from the bottom of her heart. "Yes, after this trip, I'm off to the UK for my studies. It wasn't easy getting into that program. I'm really looking forward to life in England." Nina Norris replied with a smile, but a trace of vicious malice flashed through her eyes. "Do you really have to leave so soon? You won't even be able to attend the wedding for Ethan and me?" Amelia looked regretful. After all, Nina Norris was her best friend. "I'm sorry. You and Ethan will surely be very happy." At the mention of the name Ethan, the malice in Nina's eyes deepened. Amelia wanted to say something more, but suddenly, a large truck appeared around the corner ahead. Her heart skipped a beat, and she slammed on the brakes. But the brakes felt as if they had failed. The car showed no sign of stopping. "Ah, Amelia, brake, brake," Nina screamed. Amelia stomped desperately on the pedal, but she could only watch helplessly as their car collided with the massive truck, bang, a deafening crash. "No, no," Amelia screamed, bolting upright in bed, gasping for air. Looking around the familiar bedroom, Amelia felt a wave of desolation. That dream again. The guilt and self-blame swallowed her whole like a primeval beast. Ever since the accident with Nina 3 years ago, she had this nightmare almost every day. Every night she woke up screaming, she would sit in darkness until dawn, consumed by remorse. In that accident, Amelia had only suffered minor injuries, but Nina had been in a coma for 3 whole months, nearly never waking up. Nina not only missed her chance to attend her dream university in the UK, but also lost the ability to ever become a mother. "It's all my fault." Amelia's eyes turned red. For the past 3 years, Nina had hated her to the core. Bang, a rude sound of the door opening startled Amelia from her thoughts. She instinctively rushed out of the room and saw a drunken figure stumbling in. "Ethan, why are you drunk again?" Amelia hurried over to support her husband, the man she loved most in her life, Ethan Sterling. There was a cloying scent of perfume on him. Amelia felt a sourness in her heart, but she said nothing. She was used to it. Ethan Sterling had only married her because the Sterling Group was facing a financial crisis, and her family, the Millers, was the largest financial dynasty in the city. Amelia never dared to hope that Ethan would love her. "Drunk?" Ethan suddenly sneered, speaking disjointedly. "If I didn't get drunk, I'm afraid I'd vomit when I look at you, haha." These humiliating words made Amelia's body stiffen, but she quickly recovered, continuing to support him, and said gently, "Let me help you back to the bedroom." "Bedroom?" Ethan suddenly grabbed her slender waist and pinned her violently onto the living room sofa, his voice filled with disgust. "No need for the bedroom." With that, his large hand reached out and tore Amelia's clothes apart. Rip, the sound of fabric tearing filled the air. "No," Amelia struggled instinctively, reaching out to push Ethan away, but he grabbed her wrists and pinned them down. "Didn't you want to marry me so badly?" "Why say no? You're my wife now. What right do you have to refuse me?" Ethan roared, lowering his head to kiss Amelia's lips brutally. "MMH?" Amelia struggled with all her might, but it was useless. Tears streamed from her eyes continuously. Yes, she loved Ethan Sterling. She loved him so blindly that she had proposed the condition that if he married her, she would get her family to invest in his company. There was no woman more pathetic than her in this world. But no matter how humble she was, she couldn't accept doing this with Ethan when he smelled of another woman. "Let me go," using all her strength. Amelia broke free from Ethan's grip and slapped him hard across the face. Slap, the crisp sound echoed through the living room. Amelia felt her whole body trembling. But she gritted her teeth and said, "You have another woman's perfume on you. I won't do it." When they were intimate, she only hoped Ethan was clean. At least, clean on the surface. This was Amelia's final bottom line, the only thing she asked for. "You dare hit me? You bitch, you actually dare to hit me?" Ethan was completely enraged by the slap. He subdued her again and roared, "What right do you have to say no? When you used that condition to force me to marry you, you lost the right to say no. Since you used every trick in the book to become my wife, you deserve to be used by me like this." "Ethan, do you really hate me that much?" Her voice trembled. "I know, making you marry me was a despicable condition. But I saved the entire Sterling family business, and I even paid to save your critically ill father." She didn't ask for Ethan to love her, but couldn't her sacrifices earn even a shred of pity? Couldn't they at least treat each other with basic respect? Did Ethan have to hate her this much? Do you think you're noble? Ethan put on his clothes and stood up. Looking at her tear-stained face, he felt an inexplicable tremor in his heart. But that flicker of emotion vanished the moment he thought of Nina, Amelia Miller. You vicious snake. You have no right to ask me why. Ethan strangled her neck and shouted, "The three of us grew up together. Yet, because you were jealous that Nina got into the UK university, and you didn't, you caused her to miss her chance for education and even destroyed her uterus in that car accident. Why shouldn't he hate a woman with such deep schemes? She deserved to die. She didn't deserve to be loved." Cough, cough. Amelia coughed violently. The suffocating feeling tortured her, but she struggled to speak. Ethan, I didn't. That accident was entirely due to brake failure. Every night she woke up from nightmares. Heaven knew how guilty she felt. She wished she had been the one injured in the crash. Not Nina. Enough. Just as Amelia was about to pass out, Ethan finally let go. He walked away without looking back, saying coldly, "Amelia, I won't believe a single word that comes out of your mouth." After dropping that sentence, Ethan put on his coat and left the Miller villa without turning his head. Bang, the villa door slammed shut, completely separating Ethan and Amelia into two different worlds. In the dim light, Amelia stared blankly at the door and suddenly laughed desolately. "Ethan, I really didn't mean to hurt Nina." "Ethan, what do I have to do for you to believe me, for you to love me?" Amelia murmured, then suddenly her vision went black and she fainted dead away. Beep, beep. The rhythmic sound of machines echoed in Amelia's ears. Her eyelashes trembled slightly, and she finally opened her eyes. Surveying the sterile white room and recalling the events of the previous night, Amelia realized Alfred, the butler, must have sent her to the hospital. She struggled to sit up, and a doctor soon entered the ward. The doctor looked serious. "Miss Miller, please pay attention to your emotional state in the future. Excessive grief can affect the fetus." Fetus? Hearing that word, Amelia froze. A joy she had never felt before surged in her heart. What did you say?" Afraid she had misheard, she stumbled out of bed, grabbing the doctor's hands tightly. "You said fetus. You mean I'm pregnant." The doctor paused, then said, "Oh, didn't you know? Yes, you are 2 months pregnant, but because your physical condition is poor and your emotions have been volatile, the fetal heartbeat is unstable. You need to take medication to prevent a miscarriage." The doctor's mouth kept moving, but Amelia couldn't hear anything else. Her mind was filled with one sentence. She was 2 months pregnant, a baby. Her nose stung, and she instinctively placed a hand on her abdomen. This was her and Ethan's child. She knew Ethan had always loved children. Sometimes, seeing cute kids on the street, he wouldn't want to leave. With this child, surely Ethan would change his attitude toward her. Maybe their marriage would improve because of this. With this hope and expectation, Amelia didn't even wait for her IV to finish. She pulled out the needle and rushed out of the hospital. She had to find Ethan. Amelia rushed to the Sterling Group headquarters. The receptionist, recognizing her, immediately bowed respectfully. "Director Miller, what brings you here today?" Although Ethan managed the Sterling family businesses, everyone knew Amelia was the largest shareholder, so they respectfully called her director. "Just coming to visit." "Is Ethan in?" Amelia smiled faintly. "Yes, you can go straight up to the CEO's office," the receptionist replied quickly. "Okay, thank you." Amelia hurried into the elevator while the receptionist sighed. "Director Miller is great, beautiful, and kind-hearted, but she didn't marry a good man." "I know, right?" another receptionist added immediately. "President Sterling has had a woman following him around for the past few days. Do you think they'll run into each other?" Amelia arrived at the door of the CEO's office with a nervous heart. She reached out to push the door open but hesitated. Should she knock? But they were husband and wife, not just superior and subordinate. And she was here to announce good news. What expression would Ethan have if he knew she was pregnant? Amelia couldn't help but smile. Just as she was about to push the door open, she heard an extremely ambiguous sound coming from inside Amelia's face. Instantly turned pale. Bang, she pushed the door open with all her strength. The sight of two intertwined figures made Amelia's brain spin, nearly causing her to faint. The woman entangled with Ethan was none other than her former best friend, Nina Norris. "You?" Amelia felt her whole body trembling. Ethan stood up quickly. His first reaction wasn't to fix his own clothes, but to drape his suit jacket over Nina. That protective gesture cut Amelia's heart like a knife, no wonder. No wonder Ethan hated her so much. It turned out the person he liked had always been Nina, who allowed you in here. Get out! Ethan shielded Nina behind him, shouting angrily. I made it very clear, don't disturb me when I'm at the company. Hearing Ethan yell at her, Amelia felt like she was hearing a terrible joke. Through her tears, she said, Disturb you? Disturb you from what? I'm so sorry for interrupting you cheating with my best friend. Her voice was full of mockery, not directed at Ethan, but at herself. The three of them had grown up together. Ethan always followed Nina around, yet she had never suspected their relationship. She, Amelia Miller, was the biggest fool in the world best friend. At this moment, Nina, who had been protected behind Ethan, finally spoke. She wrapped Ethan's suit around herself, exuding an air of being cherished. She gritted her teeth and said, Years ago, because you were jealous that I got into a UK university, you deliberately arranged that car accident. You put me in a coma, ruining my enrollment and destroying my future. What right do you have to call yourself my best friend? Nina, I know you hate me, and I know you have reasons to hate me, but Amelia took a deep breath. I was a victim in that accident 3 years ago too. I've wished countless times that I was the one hurt, not you. Do you know how guilty I feel? Betrayed by the man she loved most. Hated and misunderstood by her closest friend, no one knew the agonizing pain in Amelia's heart right now. Stop pretending, Nina roared, and suddenly rushed forward, slapping Amelia hard across the face. You ruined me like that. And then you turned around and held a wedding with Ethan while I was lying in the hospital. Barely alive. What kind of good person are you pretending to be now? Nina's eyes were filled with malice as she cursed. You should have been the one in that accident. It would have been so much better if you had died in that crash. Amelia touched her face with a trembling hand. The burning pain and the blood trickling from the corner of her mouth proved how hard Nina had slapped her. Nina, I've always treated you as my best friend. Why won't you believe me? Amelia finally broke down, screaming through her tears. You knew I loved Ethan. Why would you do this? Is this your revenge? Did Nina hate her this much? Everyone hated her. Was everything Amelia did wrong? Revenge? You're overthinking it, Nina sneered. I wouldn't dirty my hands getting revenge on a slut like you. The reason I'm with Ethan is, of course, because we were in love long ago. Boom. Amelia felt like she had been struck by lightning. In love long ago. How long was long ago? Did you too? Her eyes went wide. Remembering scenes of the three of them growing up, she felt her heart bleeding. Yes, before you announced your engagement, we were already together. Nina enjoyed the disbelief on Amelia's face. Her heart filled with the thrill of revenge. She hugged Ethan's arm boastfully. Among the three of us, you are the third party and you used the dirtiest means, using filthy money to tie Ethan down, you shameless homewrecker. The word homewrecker felt like an invisible slap across Amelia's face. No, I'm not a mistress, Amelia said in a panic. I am the lawfully wedded wife of the Sterling family. How could I be the other woman? You are the mistress. Wife, Ethan snorted coldly. If not for that shameless condition you proposed, why do you think I would marry you? Trouble yourself to recognize your position. I, Ethan Sterling, have never considered you my wife. The person I love has always been Nina now. Get your snake-hearted self out of my office, Ethan said, shoving her hard. Amelia fell, crashing heavily into the desk behind her. Bang with a loud noise. Amelia felt as if her spine was shattering. The pain made her tremble, leaving her with no strength to stand up. Ethan, I don't want to see her anymore. Hurry up and kick her out so we can continue what we were doing, okay? Nina snuggled into Ethan's chest and began to act coquettish. Their sweetness ignited a humiliating rage in Amelia's heart. Even a saint would get angry, let alone a living, breathing person like her. I get out. Amelia endured the severe pain, holding onto the desk to stand up, her heart filled with desolation. Ethan, don't forget. The Sterling Group exists today entirely because of my shares. The ones who should get out are you too. You really don't know anything, do you? Ethan suddenly laughed coldly. Amelia immediately had a bad feeling. Know what? Why did Ethan have that confident smile? The Sterling Group, and even your family's Miller Financial Group, no longer have anything to do with you. Ethan threw a document in front of Amelia and sneered. Do you remember this contract? Amelia instinctively picked it up. Looking at the English contract, her head spun. 3 days ago, Ethan had given her a contract to sign, saying it was insurance he bought for her. At that time, she was feeling dizzy and nauseous. And since the contract was in English, she signed it without reading it carefully, looking closely now. This wasn't an insurance contract, it was a contract to relinquish her shares. Ethan, you actually used such dirty tactics. Looking at her signature on the contract, Amelia was so overcome with anger that she coughed up a mouthful of blood. I've done everything for you for 3 years without complaint. I trusted you unconditionally, and this betrayal is what I get in return? Amelia felt her heart ache to the point of numbness. Ethan had actually transferred her assets behind her back. You think this is betrayal? Don't make me laugh, Ethan said coldly. When you used money to force me to marry you, you should have expected I would use the same means to pay you back. Amelia, without money, you are less than garbage. No, this isn't real. Amelia's hand shook, and the papers scattered on the floor. She suddenly saw an organ donation consent form. Amelia felt like she had fallen into an ice hole. Her whole body went cold. What was this donation form? Besides transferring assets, what else had Ethan made her sign? Almost forgot. Ethan obviously saw the donation form too. He grabbed Amelia by her hair and said indifferently, Nina has uremia and needs a kidney transplant. Your kidney is a match for her, so you are going to donate a kidney to her. Donate a kidney? Amelia immediately struggled, her eyes red as she roared. I won't donate, Ethan. You transferred my property, but don't think you can touch my body. She was pregnant. If she underwent a kidney transplant surgery now, the child in her belly definitely wouldn't survive. Won't donate. Do you think you have a choice? Ethan shouted angrily. You harmed Nina so badly. You should be thankful you only have to donate one kidney. Even if you donated both, it would be what you deserve. With that, he slammed Amelia's head against the desk. Amelia only saw black, and before she could even scream, I'm pregnant, she fell into a deep coma. The hospital. Nina, it's okay. Just treat it like a nap. Once the surgery is successful, you won't have to suffer from the illness anymore. Ethan comforted Nina gently as she lay on the stretcher. That tenderness and concern were things Amelia had never received. Ethan, do you think Amelia will hate me? Nina's eyes were red, looking pitiful to the extreme. Ethan's heart tightened. Looking at Amelia lying on the stretcher next to them, he forcibly suppressed the flutter in his heart and said, This is what she owes you. She has no right to hate you. Kidney transplant surgery. Begin now. Even though anesthesia was used, why did Amelia still feel so much pain? The blinding lights in the operating room, the smell of disinfectant, and the clanking of metal instruments. Shouldn't she be unable to feel this? Her eyes were closed, her body heavy beyond measure, but all her senses were incredibly sharp. Why? She was the one used, framed, and kept in the dark, yet she was the one who had to endure all this suffering. Doctor, the patient is hemorrhaging. Should we continue the surgery? Why didn't the pre-op check report mention the patient was pregnant? Quick, get blood from the blood bank. Halfway through the surgery, Amelia's abdomen had been opened when the doctor saw the tiny life inside her. Bright red blood surged out in large quantities, throwing the entire operating room into chaos. But the noise around her had nothing to do with Amelia anymore. She could hear everything clearly, but felt that nothing mattered anymore. Her consciousness was fading. But at this moment, she could faintly see what was happening. 7 or 8 doctors and nurses in surgical scrubs were rushing around her, preparing emergency equipment. Their voices were incredibly clear. Doctor, the baby probably can't be saved. Blood is coming from the bank, but stock is limited. We must stop the bleeding immediately. Should we contact the patient's family? Amidst the chaos, Amelia only heard one sentence: the baby couldn't be saved. No, no, Amelia screamed in her heart. But the sound that came out was merely a groan of pain. She had lost everything. How could she lose her only child too? That was the only link left between her and Ethan. If she hadn't been cut open, she would have gotten up this child, who hadn't even seen the world yet, couldn't just be gone. The noise around her continued. The vague physical pain, mixed with the pain in her heart, made Amelia faint again. However, before losing consciousness, she actually smiled slightly. No, all of this is just a dream. Dreams are always the opposite of reality. It will be fine when I wake up. The baby will definitely be there. Everything will be fine. With this illusory hope, she completely lost consciousness. Outside the operating room, the chief surgeon rushed out and said to Ethan, who was sitting aside holding Nina, Mr. Sterling, the patient is hemorrhaging massive amounts of blood. The surgery. Should we continue? Hemorrhaging? Ethan's face changed. Didn't you say this surgical technique was mature and there wasn't much risk? Originally, the risk wasn't high, but the patient is 2 months pregnant. Because the baby couldn't be saved, it caused the hemorrhage. Ethan froze completely. His body trembled imperceptibly. Are you saying she miscarried? I'm sorry, Mr. Sterling, we did our best. The kidney transplant, should we continue? The doctor kept bowing in apology while pressing for a final answer. Sitting beside Ethan, Nina's eyes flickered a trace of malice and relief flashed past. Mr. Sterling, the situation is critical. Please make a decision quickly. The doctor urged again, but Ethan's throat bobbed, speechless. Hearing the news of her miscarriage, why did he feel such pain in his heart? Nina pretended to be anxious beside him. Ethan, maybe we should forget it. She's already miscarried. If we continue with the kidney transplant now, when she wakes up. As she spoke, she coughed violently. Although she covered her mouth with her hand, blood still seeped through her fingers. Actually, was it really that serious? It was just a little trick she had prepared in advance. Ethan felt a buzzing in his brain. He never imagined that by sending Amelia for a kidney transplant, he would receive news of a miscarriage. Even Nina vomiting blood didn't snap him back immediately. Should they continue? He had always been certain that Nina beside him was the one he loved, but every day he went home, if he couldn't see Amelia, he felt restless, although she used despicable means and money to force him to marry her. It didn't mean there was no emotion between them when they were growing up, and even on their wedding day, he had felt his heart flutter. Didn't they have sweet moments too? On their wedding night, Amelia leaned on Ethan's shoulder. She smiled happily and said to him, "Ethan, we will definitely be very happy, right?" At that time, besides the humiliation in his heart, Ethan had also thought that maybe they could go on like this forever. There had been so many good times now. She was actually pregnant, no matter how much he hated her. The child was innocent. Ethan clenched his fists tightly, so hard that his knuckles turned white. Why did a wave of guilt suddenly surge in his heart? She was pregnant, yet tortured by him like that, provoked by him and Nina, and now she had to give her kidney to Nina. Ethan, right now, the doctor is waiting for your answer. Seeing Ethan hesitate, Nina grabbed his arm. There were faint traces of blood at the corner of her mouth. Nina lowered her eyes. My illness doesn't matter. I can wait for the next donor, but... Proceed. Ethan unclenched his fist, looked at the doctor, and spoke decisively. Okay, we will continue. Miss Norris, please get ready. The doctor nodded immediately and turned back into the room. Ethan turned and helped Nina onto a gurney nearby. He looked at Nina and said indifferently, "The child is gone anyway. I want to save you. She is just using a kidney to make up for the harm she caused you back then. But when Amelia comes out, she will definitely be heartbroken." Nina squeezed out a tear. "I don't want to." "No, she deserves it all." With that, Ethan turned aside to clear the way for the doctors. Yes, she deserved everything. Everything she was experiencing now was her own doing. Ethan told himself this. But as soon as the gurney entered the operating room, he slid down the wall and sat on the floor. Originally, in a few months, there would have been a child belonging to him, but now it was too late. For everything, the child wouldn't exist. And he couldn't let Nina's illness continue inside the operating room. Everything proceeded as normal before the anesthesia. Nina smiled brilliantly. "Amelia, did you see? In his heart, you and your child combined are insignificant. Ethan Sterling belongs to me." Nina Norris waking up again. Amelia felt pain all over her body. As if she had just rolled through a mountain of knives, the waking world was quiet, and suffocating. The intense pain in her body made Amelia start to suspect. The events before weren't a dream. Massive bleeding, and the baby. Was it all real? Is anyone there? Is my baby still there? Amelia asked hoarsely. But there was no one beside her at this moment. Ethan was accompanying Nina, whose surgery had also just ended. The effect of the general anesthesia had completely worn off. Every movement made Amelia feel like her body was tearing apart, but restlessness and extreme fear made it impossible for her to lie still. Pain radiated from her abdomen. Did something happen to the child? With trembling hands, Amelia slowly lifted the quilt covering her body. On her belly, thick gauze was already seeping with fresh blood, but Amelia still refused to believe the child was gone. She shook her head vigorously, comforting herself. It's just the kidney. The baby is definitely fine." Doctor, unable to get a definitive answer, she remained restless. Amelia held onto the edge of the bed and stumbled toward the door. Every step pulled at the pain in her body like the little mermaid walking on knives. Pain spread through her whole body. Right to the tips of her hair, her face was pale as she supported herself against the wall. Walking toward the doctor's office with weak breaths, patients, families, and nurses passing by wanted to help her back to the ward. But Amelia stopped them. She had practically gone mad, not knowing if her child was safe. She was effectively insane. She didn't fear pain. She didn't even fear death anymore. There was only one thought in her mind now. Confirm the safety of her child. That was the last hope left in her life. Amelia continued forward. Blood from her wound had soaked through her hospital gown, looking terrifying in Nina's ward. Although Nina had woken up long ago, she pretended to be in a coma and in unbearable pain to keep Ethan by her side. Her brows were furrowed tightly as she murmured, "Ethan, Ethan, don't leave me, okay?" Unexpectedly, because of this murmuring, Ethan suddenly thought of another person on their wedding night. A drunk Amelia had also leaned on his shoulder. Amelia had smiled like a flower and said to him, "Ethan, Ethan, you will be by my side from now on, right?" Huge guilt surged into his heart. In an instant, Ethan stood up quickly and instructed the nurse at the door, "Take care of her. Contact me immediately if anything happens." Then, he rushed toward Amelia's ward. At this moment, lying on the bed, looking at his retreating back, Nina gripped the bedsheets tightly. "Amelia, do you still want to fight me even now? You can never win against me even after the surgery, can't you understand? In Ethan's heart, there is only me, Nina Norris, but even if you overestimate yourself, so what? Since your kidney can be in my body, can't I snatch away your other things too?" Malice and joy flashed across Nina's face, mixed with a trace of pain. She smiled slowly. The winner is only her. Nina Norris. Ethan rushed to Amelia's ward, but the bed was empty. From the hallway came the anxious voice of a nurse. "Miss Miller, you just had surgery. You cannot get out of bed. Quickly, come back to the room with me. I'll get the doctor right away to check on you." That woman, causing trouble even now. Ethan frowned and rushed out of the room toward the source of the sound. Being pulled by several nurses, that frail figure was struggling desperately. I want to see the doctor. I want to make sure my baby is okay." Okay, the doctor is currently in surgery. When he comes out, I'll take him to see you immediately." Seeing this scene, Ethan felt a sudden pain in his heart. How much pain did it take to turn her into this state? If she really knew the baby was gone, could she handle it? Ethan stepped forward but froze when he saw a smear of crimson seeping through her hospital gown. It seemed now wasn't the best time to mention the miscarriage. He stepped forward with a cold face and grabbed Amelia's hand. "Do you have a death wish?" The touch of his warm, large hand made Amelia tremble all over. Why was she so obsessed with this feeling? It was clearly him who sent her into the operating room. He was the one who betrayed her and fooled around with her best friend. But there was no hatred no matter what. Amelia didn't blame Ethan for everything. She loved him too much. "Ethan, our baby?" Amelia lost all resistance. Only on the way back to the room with him did she ask. Ethan paused, his throat bobbing, but he couldn't say the words about the miscarriage. He reacted quickly, whispering, "Talk less. It's bad for wound healing." A sense of unease began to slowly surface. Although Ethan was caring for her now, his tone was as cold as ever. But why wouldn't he give her an answer? Amelia was anxious but didn't want to upset Ethan. If the baby was gone, surely Ethan would feel somewhat sad too. Lying back in bed, Amelia stared into Ethan's eyes. "Ethan, can you ask the doctor for me, please? When the doctor is free, he will come naturally." Ethan avoided the topic. He took the hot porridge brought by a nurse who had just entered. Originally, Amelia thought Ethan would just hand it to her. Unexpectedly, after taking the porridge, he actually sat by Amelia's bed and fed it to her, spoonful by spoonful. And each time, he blew on it until it was cool. "Ethan, you?" Looking at the porridge brought to her lips, Amelia felt a sense of disbelief. Ethan's expression didn't change. He just said lightly, "Eat. If you don't replenish your nutrients, it will be hard for the wound to heal." How long had it been? Even Amelia couldn't remember exactly how long it had been since Ethan treated her this well. Amelia felt flattered. But the unease in her heart was intensifying. Because she knew Ethan would absolutely not be nice to her. For no reason, something bad must have happened. The first thing Amelia thought of was, the baby. Was the baby really gone? And was Ethan treating her well out of guilt? Amelia was distracted, but she didn't continue asking, because Ethan kept saying that everything would be clear once the doctor arrived. Eat. If there's anything else you want, just tell me directly. Ethan seemed to have returned to the state where he cared for Amelia meticulously. Amelia stared at him, and all other thoughts were gradually pushed to the back of her mind by Ethan's gentleness. Amelia ate almost the entire bowl of hot porridge. She originally had no appetite, but Ethan fed it to her personally. Even if it were arsenic, she would swallow it gladly, let alone a bowl of hot porridge. Ethan, can you go see if the doctor is back now? Amelia looked at the door, feeling a persistent restlessness. Ethan didn't respond. He simply reached out and gently wiped a speck of food from the corner of her mouth. For a moment, Amelia even felt like she and Ethan had returned to the past, but at the same time, she instantly sobered up. No. Everything before wasn't a hallucination. Ethan wouldn't be this nice to her. The woman he loved in his heart was clearly Nina. The dull pain in her abdomen was proof that he loved Nina. This man would absolutely not treat her well for no reason. It must be that something went wrong. With the child, tears instantly broke the dam. Amelia shook her head and grabbed Ethan's arm directly. Ethan, tell me clearly, did something happen to the baby? Tell me, did something happen to the baby? But no matter what, Ethan wouldn't tell her what happened. What kind of result could make a man as cruel as Ethan keep his mouth shut even now? No, Ethan. It can't be. Our baby won't be in trouble, right? Amelia was going crazy, disregarding everything. She grabbed Ethan's arm and shook it violently at this moment. Ethan also couldn't help but feel heartache he didn't understand. He really hated this woman before. She could do such cruel things, but this time, regarding the child, he simply couldn't bring himself to speak. A knock came from the door. A doctor wearing a mask walked in. Amelia's movements froze instantly. She cried out, "Doctor, tell me the truth. Where is my baby?" "Miss Miller, my condolences. At your age, you can definitely conceive again." The doctor bowed slightly with apology. "We did our best this time. No, you are all lying to me. The baby was just in my belly. Wasn't it already more than 2 months?" The joy of becoming a mother was shattered so quickly. Added to the kidney removal surgery, Amelia was weak to the extreme. But what could she do? She shrank into the quilt, letting all her tears pour out. Ethan stood aside, watching the small figure shivering in the quilt, crying uncontrollably. Heartache for this woman, for the child. He felt a heartache he hadn't felt in a long time. The doctor turned and left, leaving only the two of them in the room. Ethan stood where he was, not knowing how to calm Amelia down. "Ethan, we won't have children anymore, right?" After an unknown amount of time, Amelia spoke again, her voice hoarse to the extreme. Even speaking made her throat hurt, but nothing compared to the pain in her heart. She had nearly fainted several times, but thinking of the child, Amelia felt as if her whole body was being torn apart. "You just focus on recovering first." Ethan couldn't bear to watch Amelia go mad in the room any longer. He couldn't promise to give her another child. The doctor's words were just comfort. After losing a kidney, Amelia's chances of having a child in the future were slim to none, let alone Amelia. Even Ethan felt incredibly awful. He rushed out of the room, only feeling able to breathe freely. Once he stood in the corridor, Ethan didn't know how to make amends. No. He hated her. Why should he care about her feelings? 100 emotions surged in his heart. Ethan even felt he couldn't be as cruel as before. Ethan tried to steady his mind, preparing to see if there was anything else Amelia could eat to arrange for her. But just then, from a ward at the other end of the corridor, Nina walked out, pale-faced, slowly shuffling over. As soon as she saw Ethan, she seemed unable to support her body and almost fell. Seeing this, Ethan moved quickly, swaying between two women. He simply didn't know whether he should take care of Nina or Amelia right now. Inside the ward, Amelia saw a familiar figure flash past the door. The desolation in her heart was beyond measure. Even giving up her kidney couldn't win back Ethan's heart. The child. The kidney, what exactly did Ethan want to take from her? Even the Miller family's entire fortune had been transferred by him. Amelia had no tears left, because they had long since run dry. Was it really her fault? She used the Miller family fortune to save the Sterling family. The car accident was just break failure. Amelia, who had never intended to harm anyone, why did she have to suffer these punishments? Nina's body slid limply down, falling perfectly into Ethan's arms. She instantly burst into tears. "Ethan, it hurts so much. Waking up without you by my side makes it hurt even more. I just had some matters to deal with." Ethan hesitated, not mentioning he had been in Amelia's room. Turning around, Nina actively wrapped her arms around Ethan's neck. Her eyes teary, she said, "Ethan, I really thank you for giving me the chance to live. You don't know how much I want to be with you forever. Although Amelia hurt me like that before, seeing as I survived, I thank her too." Ethan clenched his teeth and carried Nina back to her ward. Right now, Nina just needed a little rest to secure her life. But Amelia had lost so much he felt uneasy seeing Ethan's attitude shift slightly. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through Nina's eyes, trying to steal Ethan back, just because of a miscarriage and a kidney. Impossible, Nina clenched her jaw. She definitely had to keep Ethan by her side. As soon as they entered the ward, Nina closed the door and leaned forward to kiss Ethan's lips in her misty eyes. There was a trace of arousal. Only after letting go did Nina act coquettish. "Ethan, stay with me more, okay? My wound really hurts, and the rejection period isn't over yet. If you aren't by my side, I can't hold on." Ethan didn't respond immediately. He was still thinking about the person in the other ward, the person who had just suffered the loss of a child and a kidney earlier. His brief care hadn't been enough to say many comforting words. Ethan pursed his lips and led Nina to the bed. "I need to check over there. I'll be back after saying a few words to her." "You mean Amelia?" Mist rose in Nina's eyes again, but she pretended to be sensible and didn't stop him. She didn't want to become an existence Ethan despised or found annoying. Nina lay directly on the bed, closed her eyes, and nodded gently. She thought Ethan would comfort her with a few words before leaving. But instead, he didn't even look back and left the room directly watching his retreating figure. Nina felt a sudden sense of unease. No way. Was that woman going to play some tricks to steal Ethan away from her? Rushing toward Amelia's ward. At the door, Ethan took a deep breath before entering again. No family, no friends. All these years, Amelia's life had revolved around him now. It wasn't guilt. Ethan's gaze turned cold. He decided to interpret this feeling simply as pity. Back then, who knows how many people poked at his spine, saying he lived off a woman, saying that without the Miller family, the Sterling family would have been finished long ago. Amelia's current fate was just repayment for his humiliation back then. His feelings were merely pity. After all, the life lost in her belly was his seed. Ethan masked the complexity in his eyes, and Ray entered the ward. Amelia seemed not to have moved at all since he left. She was still that small ball, curled up under the quilt. Ethan didn't speak. He just sat on the edge of Amelia's bed. All these years, except for the acting at the beginning for the sake of the Sterling family, he seemed to have never kept her company like this properly. "Stop crying. Crying won't bring it back." Feeling the figure trembling, Ethan finally couldn't help but speak. "The doctor said there's still a chance." Insincere words didn't hurt to say. He didn't know how many times he had said it. A gentle voice sounded behind her. Amelia craved this insignificant warmth. It was given by Ethan no matter how deep the hurt he had caused. As long as he gave a little bit, it was like bringing sunshine back into her world. Amelia couldn't help but turn around, staring at Ethan with swollen red eyes. "Ethan, we really will have children again, right?" "Amen." Ethan answered flatly, still explaining everything in his heart as pity. Hearing this, Amelia felt somewhat reassured. Ethan stood up and used a warm towel to slowly wipe the tear stains from Amelia's face. Every movement was exceptionally gentle. Lying in the hospital bed, this was the first time Amelia had enjoyed such tender treatment. She forgot everything else, her gaze looking at Ethan like water. If only time could stop at this moment. Even if the physical pain continued, as long as Ethan was by her side, she felt life needed nothing more as long as the two of them could return to how they were. These tribulations were just a little test from God. Amelia looked at Ethan tenderly, ignoring her condition, and said, "Ethan, sit down and rest." "I'm fine." Hearing her voice, Ethan's body shook violently. What was she saying not long ago? He had removed one of her kidneys for another woman now. He was just wiping her face. And she was still caring about him? The shock in his heart made Ethan feel uncontrollably uncomfortable. In the past, no matter what happened, he felt Amelia deserved it, but this time, he actually couldn't bear it. "Eat well. After your body recovers, we'll talk about other things." Ethan suddenly felt suffocated. Standing in front of Amelia's bed, he even felt like he couldn't breathe. The warm towel in his hand was taken away before it had completely cooled. Amelia felt as if a piece of her heart suddenly went empty. The warmth she hadn't properly enjoyed vanished just like that. The pain that had gradually disappeared earlier surged back violently. The ward door was pushed open again. An anxious nurse rushed in. Without even looking at Amelia, she said to Ethan, "Mr. Sterling, Miss Norris implies." "What happened to Nina?" Ethan's response was faster than anything. The anxiety in his tone sounded more painful to Amelia's ears than a scalpel slicing through her body. "Miss Norris feels uncomfortable and hopes Mr. Sterling can go see her." "Okay, I'm going right now." Without a moment's hesitation, Ethan threw the towel aside and said indifferently to Amelia, "Rest well. I'll find a nurse to take care of you." With that, Ethan followed the nurse and strode toward the door. From start to finish, he didn't look her in the eye. His gentleness was always for Nina. Then why did he come to her side? Just now Amelia's heart was sour and painful. Life seemed to play tricks on people. How could he come to her side, offer a tiny bit of care, and then leave immediately in the huge single ward? Amelia was left alone again. The white walls and the warm sun outside the window all revealed a chilling coldness. Amelia felt this coldness penetrate her marrow. She closed her eyes, not thinking about anything. Stop dreaming. Everything he did was just for Nina. Suddenly, footsteps approached hurriedly. Amelia's heart, which had just completely sunk, rippled again. Did he come back? He still couldn't let her go. Without feelings, how could they be together? Without feelings, how could they have lived together for 2 years? But turning her head, the face she saw chilled Amelia's heart completely. It was the doctor from before. He looked at Amelia and whispered, "Miss Miller, I'm here to check your wound." Amelia didn't react at all. She just closed her eyes. Wounds and pain simply weren't that important to her anymore. However, after the doctor reapplied the medicine, Amelia couldn't help but speak. "Doctor, I really can still have children in the future, right?" Originally, she had heard from the doctor that there was still a chance. But due to the unease in her heart, she couldn't help but confirm again. Only this time, the doctor's response became strange. Amelia looked at the doctor, her heart suddenly turning cold. "Well, Miss Miller, you know that after losing a kidney, the body's various functions are greatly compromised. Moreover, this miscarriage caused great damage to your body. Is it possible for me to have children or not?" She didn't want to listen to a single word of nonsense. Amelia just wanted a straight answer. "Hope is slim." The doctor sighed. Slim. That meant she might not be able to have children in the future. It seemed he didn't just take her kidney, he took everything from her. Even the right to be a mother no longer existed. How sorrowful. Amelia felt heartbroken. But after the heart-wrenching pain, all that remained was numbness. So this is what total despair feels like. After the doctor left, Amelia was alone again. In the huge ward, the pain seemed infinitely magnified. Meanwhile, Ethan had returned to Nina's ward. Nina, who was fine before he left, now seemed much weaker. Her face was pale, her voice restrained as she said to Ethan, "I didn't want to call you back so soon." Cough. "But without you by my side, I feel terrible." The pain on Nina's face didn't look fake. Because, hidden under the quilt, her hand was pinching her thigh tightly. Only by keeping Ethan by her side could she feel at ease for him. What did enduring a little pain matter? With a doting smile, Ethan sat in front of Nina, stroking her cheek, speaking to her with incomparable gentleness. "It's all good now. You have a healthy kidney. After resting for a while, everything will return to normal." "Really?" Nina's eyes were full of surprise. "Then, can you stay by my side all the time? Just divorce her?" Ethan's smile froze on his face. He paused for a moment before responding, "It's not time yet." His voice suddenly turned cold. Nina swallowed the why. She wanted to ask the joy, and her eyes dissipated mostly. Leaving only viciousness, she had paid such a huge price to develop things to this stage with Ethan. Yet she couldn't take the next step, perhaps only by making that woman disappear completely. Only then could she truly possess Ethan. Nina bit her lip and smiled, gently yet weakly. "Amen, I'll listen to you. As long as I recover well, we can be happy, right?" "Yes, rest well. Health is the most important thing." Unknowingly, another face kept floating before Ethan's eyes in Amelia's ward. Ethan, who had promised to send a nurse to take care of her, had completely forgotten her in his rush to Nina's side. However, for Amelia right now, silence was best. She closed her eyes. The past flashing by like a revolving lantern, the past sweetness, he was just pretending all along. The Miller family's full assistance was seen by Ethan as merely Amelia's leverage to force a marriage her love had always been unrequited. But if she were the only one suffering, fine. But now, so many people were implicated, the entire Miller family had been ruined in her hands. Her family shouldn't be the sacrifice for her feelings, and the child shouldn't have ended like this. Everything was just because she fell in love with a man she shouldn't have. Amelia didn't want to cry anymore. She just wanted to escape this terrible world. Why did everyone who seemed good to her wear a mask? Ethan was like that. And so was Nina. One was the man she loved most. The other, her childhood friend. How could they betray her together and treat her like a fool? Beside the table, there was a fruit basket sent by someone earlier. Inside, a gleam of cold light caught Amelia's attention. Modern fruit baskets were really thoughtful. She stood up slowly and opened the basket. A delicate fruit knife with a ribbon tied to it. Truly, the best gift to send her on her way. Amelia locked the ward door, sat on the floor by the window, facing the sunshine outside, and actually smiled. In heaven without these masked people. Surely she could live better. The sharp blade slid across her slender wrist. Skin split, flesh opened, blood dripping. The blood, drop by drop, vanished along with all the pain. Amelia suddenly felt very calm. No pain, no suffering. It seemed leaving was the best choice. Bang, the ward door was suddenly kicked open. Amelia Miller, behind her was Ethan's roar. What met his eyes was a sea of blood on the floor. Blood had already gathered into a small pool. Ethan's heart seized. Disregarding everything, he rushed to Amelia's side, scooped her into his arms, and ran toward the emergency room. I'm telling you, don't you dare die. If you die, I won't pay a cent for your mother's medical bills. You can watch from heaven as she suffers in pain. Every word from Ethan seemed to burst from his chest. He felt the weight of the person in his arms becoming lighter and lighter. Extreme fear filled Ethan's heart. He absolutely did not want to see Amelia die. No. Leaving him wasn't allowed. Ethan shouted in frustration. Amelia had a dream. She dreamed she was in a sea of flowers. It was so beautiful there, beautiful enough to make her want to stay forever. Amelia Miller, I'm telling you, if you don't wake up, I will make your mother suffer through illness. I will keep her barely alive, letting you watch from heaven as she endures the pain. Ethan's voice rang in Amelia's ears. Ethan's voice was something Amelia would never forget in her life, melodious and magnetic. Wake up for me. I order you, do you hear? The originally warm scene in the dream suddenly shook violently, making Amelia in the dream feel helpless. Dressed in white, she looked around in terror, then saw the surroundings empty out, plunging her into endless darkness in an instant. This cold and fearful feeling made Amelia panic. No, lying on the hospital bed, Amelia waved her hands wildly, shouting in panic. Ethan sat by Amelia's bedside. The person she was mumbling about just now was him. Seeing Amelia like this, he was terrified. This feeling made Ethan feel confused and disgusted with himself. He clearly hated this woman. Why was he so nervous after she fainted? This tension and fear were unprecedented, not even present when Nina was in a coma back then. Yes, it must be because of the child. Ethan actually felt a sliver of comfort knowing Amelia was pregnant with his child. No matter what, the child was his flesh and blood. It would be a lie to say he wasn't happy. But because of the emergency surgery, Amelia lost the child. So, all the emotions just now must be because Ethan transferred his guilt over the child onto Amelia. It must be so. Ethan would not admit that he had feelings for Amelia, a woman so cruel she wouldn't stop until she got what she wanted. Water. Amelia felt parched and wanted water badly. She shook her head slightly, calling out. When Amelia shouted earlier, Ethan was very happy in his heart. She had finally pulled through. I'll pour water for you. Ethan quickly got up to pour a glass of warm water for Amelia, took a straw from the drawer, and placed it by Amelia's chapped lips. Drink, Ethan spoke gently. He didn't even know he could speak to Amelia in such a gentle tone. Amelia's eyes opened slowly. Through the haze, she saw Ethan's gaze and was somewhat startled. Ethan? Hearing Amelia's slightly hoarse voice, Ethan snapped back to reality, sighed with relief, and softened his tone. Didn't you clamor for water? Drink up quickly. Faced with Ethan's sudden gentleness, Amelia fell completely again. Drink slowly, don't choke. Seeing Amelia drinking hurriedly, Ethan couldn't help but remind her. Cough, cough, Ethan, where is our baby? After drinking half the water, Amelia asked Ethan. Ethan hadn't expected the first thing Amelia thought of upon waking would be the child. The baby. There will be others in the future. Ethan couldn't look directly at Amelia's slightly hateful eyes, feeling guilty. Baby. Will be others. That was a living life, your child. Speaking of this, Amelia suddenly laughed coldly. Without explanation, he wanted to take one of her kidneys to swap with Nina's, trading for her health. But what about herself? In her future life, Amelia would face many inconveniences and suffer from illness. This pain wasn't something just anyone could endure. Her weak body could no longer withstand Amelia's agitation. She wanted to get up and demand an explanation from Ethan. That was my child. You say it so lightly, saying it's gone just like that. Is this child not yours? Or are you a heartless person? Ethan Sterling, I judged you wrong, and I entrusted my sincere heart to the wrong person, giving it to someone as cruel as you. Thinking of her child, Amelia's heart ached. That was her flesh and blood, a child who had stayed in her belly for months. Saying there was no affection would be a lie. You took my kidney. You said I owed Nina, and I accepted it. Why kill my child? Why? Amelia's lips were cracked, but she used all her strength to say these words, roaring, making Ethan look at her with complex eyes, his heart actually aching long ago. Amelia, I didn't mean to. Yes, you are the young Master Sterling, President Sterling. How could you do it on purpose? Now Nina's body is probably fine. She can bear children for you. I'm just a useless person now, a useless cripple. What use am I? With that, Amelia tried to reach out and fling Ethan's hand away. Caught off guard, the paper cup in his hand was thrown aside, spilling the remaining water onto the bed next to it. Amelia Miller, don't be ungrateful. Ethan was about to get angry but saw Amelia's bloodless face. Instantly, he couldn't say a single word of blame. You are tired now and need to rest. Well, I'll go out first to check on your mother. Previously, the Miller Group had money, and Amelia's mother stayed in this best hospital in the country, using the best equipment and medicine. Now that the Miller Group belonged entirely to Ethan, including the shares, Ethan's sentence was clearly warning Amelia not to let her momentary spite cause her to lose her last relative. Amelia settled down a bit. Thinking of her mother, she lay back on the hospital bed obediently. Amelia's eyes were dull, looking at the ceiling, wondering if her choice back then was correct. Remember my words, you must rest well. If anything happens to you, your mother won't escape the consequences. Before leaving, Ethan said this sentence. Amelia turned her head, ignoring him, but a tear flowed from the corner of her eye. In the past, Amelia had dried her tears for Ethan. Now, this single tear was purely because Amelia felt chilled to the bone by Ethan. Don't worry, I will definitely be fine. Amelia's voice was very small, but Ethan heard it. That would be good. After Ethan visited Amelia's mother's ward, he went to Nina's room. Nina didn't give him a good look, clearly blaming him slightly. Ethan, did you go see Amelia just now? Nina's face was pale, her eyes full of tears, making Ethan's heart ache terribly. She is a useless person now. She donated a kidney for you. It's her blessing that I went to see her. Don't overthink it. Ethan felt inexplicably irritable facing Nina now, not knowing how to face her, so he spoke with some annoyance and impatience. Nina keenly sensed these emotions, so her mood was very bad, and she resented Amelia even more in her heart. One day, if given the chance, she certainly wouldn't spare Amelia. She would make her disappear from this world. Ethan was hers, and everything he had was hers. No one could take him away. Since Amelia was still clinging to Ethan, she shouldn't be blamed for being ruthless and disregarding past sentiments. Ethan, cough, I actually have no ill intentions, I'm just a little scared. After coming off the operating table, I felt panicked, always feeling like something beyond my control is going to happen. I'm so scared I'll lose you, leave this world. Nina's tone was gentle yet helpless, revealing a trace of desolation. Ethan's impatience vanished, replaced by distress. Nina felt her words had taken effect, so she added fuel to the fire. If not for that car accident back then, we would be together now and have given birth to many little babies. Nina feigned a sweet smile, which Ethan saw. She suddenly pushed Ethan outward. Ethan, go see her. I don't hate her anymore. After all, she lost her child and now gave me a kidney. Although she wasn't willing, I still feel very guilty. If not for me, you two wouldn't be so estranged. It would be better if I died. There wouldn't be so much trouble now. The she Nina spoke of was definitely Amelia. Sure enough, Nina had calculated Ethan's character, retreating to advance, pushing Ethan toward Amelia. But the more she did this, the less Ethan would go to Amelia. What silly things are you saying? How could I abandon you to find another woman? Besides, you just had surgery and need someone by your side. If you did something to yourself, I would absolutely never forgive myself. You just need to rest well now and stop thinking about those irrelevant things. Ethan looked at Nina with a doting gaze. Nina lay motionless on the bed, her eyes misty, making Ethan love and pity her even more. Now that you've had a kidney transplant, your body should be much healthier than before. Don't worry about other things, just focus on recovering. No matter who comes to find you, ignore them, especially that woman Amelia. If she recovers and comes to trouble you, you can ask the nurses and doctors to find me. But I believe Amelia definitely won't come to trouble you because her body isn't any better than yours right now. Speaking of Amelia, Ethan's eyes revealed a hint of distress. Nina noticed this emotion. Has Ethan had a change of heart? But wouldn't that make you seem heartless? After all, Amelia is your wife. Nina was very smug inside. No matter how Amelia was in Ethan's heart now, as long as she put on a pitiful appearance, Amelia would definitely lose. Right now in my heart, the most pressing priority is you. Don't think about those things, just recuperate well. Only 3 days later did Ethan have time to visit Amelia. Because of Ethan's orders, the hospital had to take good care of Amelia and prevent any accidents, so Amelia's treatment in the hospital was quite good. At least during the day, Amelia didn't see Ethan at all. But at night, after Nina fell asleep, Ethan couldn't let go of his worry for Amelia, so he would take some time to go to Amelia's ward, sitting for hours, staring at her unblinkingly. With this subtle change, Ethan could no longer hide from himself that he had indeed fallen in love with Amelia. But then thinking that Amelia, in order to get him, hadn't hesitated to plot against Nina and cause that car accident, leaving her bedridden in a coma for months. Thinking of this, Ethan tried his best to suppress his feelings for Amelia. But every day, he couldn't help missing and worrying about her, fearing she would seek death in a moment of bad mood or instability, because the loss of the child must have been a huge blow to Amelia. Time passed quickly, and Amelia's body recovered quite well. However, Nina was weak, so she stayed in the hospital. Plus, Ethan worried about her injury and wouldn't let her go out. Your wound hasn't completely healed yet, so you need to stay in bed a few more days. If you feel bored, I can wheel you to the hospital garden for a walk to breathe fresh air. Nina clamored every day about being bored and wanting to go out to play, but worrying about her wound, Ethan constantly comforted and coaxed her like a child with a gentle tone. Compared to Nina, Amelia's side seemed much lonelier. Apart from the occasional doctor and nurse changing her bandages, there was no one else. What Amelia did every day was stare at the ceiling, her hand gently stroking her lower abdomen. Her abdomen had once nurtured a very cute little life, but it was killed by her beloved man. This pain and hatred made Amelia unable to face her love for Ethan anymore. On the day of discharge, only one person came to pick Amelia up, her childhood friend, Samuel Sullivan. After returning from studying abroad, he received the news of Amelia and Ethan's marriage. Although unwilling, he still blessed Amelia and Ethan with a smile, hoping they would be happy together. Unexpectedly, Ethan turned out to be such a man. Fortunately, now Ethan and Amelia's relationship was completely fractured, and divorce was sooner or later. As long as he waited patiently for Amelia to change her mind, it was highly possible for them to be together. Look at you, you still can't take care of yourself even now. You shouldn't be exposed to the wind with your weak body. I bought this car specifically for you. You can drive this car when you go out in the future. Don't think of this as charity. My heart aches for you. That's why I'm giving you these gifts. Everything Samuel did downstairs at the hospital was seen by Ethan upstairs, leaving a bad taste in his mouth. Unexpectedly, this woman Amelia still had contact with his childhood friend. When they got married, Samuel looked at him askance. At that time, he found it strange why a man would look at him like that. Later, during the marriage, Samuel occasionally showed concern and care for Amelia, making Ethan extremely jealous. Only later did Ethan realize that Samuel had always liked Amelia. Thank you, but I don't need these things anymore. I just want to live a stable life. I'll spend the rest of my life on medication anyway. Amelia knew her body best. Moreover, losing the child had put immense psychological pressure on her. Samuel sensed this too. Although he didn't say it, he cared deeply. If Amelia chose to end her life because of losing the child, he would vigilantly watch over her himself, never giving her the chance to harm herself. No need to thank me. When my family faced a financial crisis, your father provided the money. Now it's time for us to repay you. Although Samuel tried hard to give Amelia more comfort and care, Amelia refused because she felt there was no need to drag others down. Her mother was in the hospital, and Samuel's family situation wasn't great. The medical bills were astronomical. No one but Ethan had the ability to help her. Thinking of this, a plan formed in Amelia's heart. As long as her mother's life could be extended, what did it matter if her scarred body endured one more thing? Having made up her mind, Amelia decided to draw a line with Samuel, so her words carried a tone of indifference. Samuel, I know what your feelings are for me, but from beginning to end, there is only Ethan in my heart. No one can change that. After saying this, Amelia walked back to the villa she and Ethan had lived in. Alfred, the butler, was still waiting for Amelia's return. But what Amelia didn't expect was that Ethan had also brought Nina back to live in the villa. Nina isn't in good health right now. The smell of disinfectant in the hospital makes her nauseous and unable to eat every day. This villa is close to the hospital, so I brought her back. But I don't think I need to explain these things to you. In the living room, Ethan and Nina were exceptionally affectionate. Ethan held a small bowl of porridge and a delicate spoon. As Ethan fed Nina, he gently blew on the porridge and the spoon. Be careful, don't burn your mouth. Ethan Sterling, you need to be clear. We are the ones who are nominally husband and wife. Are you trying to be criticized by outsiders for bringing Nina, the mistress, back openly? Amelia's tone was cold, which made Ethan feel very unhappy. This villa is mine. Although you and I are husband and wife in name, we have no feelings for each other. Letting you live here for the sake of past sentiments is already very kind. Don't be ungrateful. Nina felt very smug hearing this speech. She looked at Amelia with a triumphant gaze. Amelia naturally received Nina's gloating look, and her heart grew even colder. Amelia's small face suddenly turned pale. She hadn't recovered well initially, and now, provoked by Nina and Ethan, her psychological tolerance was pushed to the limit. Since you despise me so much, I can vacate my spot. I came back to ask Alfred for the divorce agreement. Once signed, we will have no relationship. You take your high road, I'll take my low road. From then on, we owe each other nothing. Saying these words took all of Amelia's lifetime of spirit. He was the man she loved most, the only one she had loved in this life, with a love so devoted and humble. Yet in Ethan's eyes, it was just a tactic to curry favor with him. So be it. The current situation left no room for sentimentality, as long as she could leave here and go to a place with no people. Alfred stood aside without saying a word from the moment Amelia entered the villa until now. Alfred actually felt sorry for the young madam. After marrying into the Sterling family all these years, her heart and thoughts were all for the Sterling family. She treated the Sterling family's affairs as her own, always rushing to the front whenever something happened. He really didn't know why the young master was so infatuated with that woman named Nina. However, one undeniable fact was that the car accident years ago was indeed caused by the young madam. Alfred, please trouble yourself to find the divorce agreement for me. I can sign it in front of you right now, but I have one condition. Hearing Amelia wanted to sign the divorce agreement, Nina's eyes lit up, but she still pretended to be sad, looking at Ethan with pitiful eyes. Ethan, actually I am satisfied just recovering my health. I don't expect to grow old with you. As long as we truly love each other, other titles aren't important. If you don't want to divorce Amelia, that's fine too. I can wrong myself to be with you, as long as your heart is still with me. Nina's speech made Ethan loathe Amelia even more, because in Ethan's heart, Amelia was a scheming woman. She is the one asking for a divorce now. This can't be blamed on me, but since she has a condition, I'll agree to it. Nina, don't worry, I definitely won't let you suffer. Ethan looked at Nina with eyes full of tenderness, but turned to Amelia with coldness and alienation. This huge contrast made Amelia feel even more chilled inside. Whatever condition you have, just say it. I will agree to anything. But if you want me to say words of love, that is impossible. Amelia sneered. I just want you to add a clause to the divorce agreement. After we divorce, you will continue to pay for my mother's medical expenses in the hospital. I can forego everything else, only this one condition." When Amelia stated this condition, Ethan actually felt a little disappointed in his heart. He originally thought Amelia would say something regarding himself, but it turned out to be such a transaction. "As long as you sign the divorce agreement, I will pay all your mother's expenses." Ethan gave the butler a look. Alfred nodded knowingly and left the living room. Amelia stood patiently in the living room. After a while, the butler returned with a contract in hand. Alfred walked respectfully to Amelia and showed her the contract. Amelia took the contract and carefully reviewed the conditions. "I think there is no problem." Amelia signed the divorce agreement with a pen and then pressed her fingerprint. "From now on, this contract is officially in effect." Amelia handed the contract to the butler. "Alfred, I hope you can take good care of Ethan." After saying this, Amelia turned quickly to leave, tears streaming uncontrollably from her eyes. Seeing Amelia's resolute back, Ethan felt a burst of anger, but looking closely, Amelia's figure was somewhat desolate, showing she had lost a lot of weight recently. Thinking of this, Ethan felt inexplicably distressed. "Although our marriage was a commercial interest relationship, I will still plan for you. I will give you a house and a $20 million breakup fee. Take this $20 million and live the rest of your life peacefully." Just as Amelia was about to step out of the villa gate, Ethan chased after her and said these words. This made Amelia feel a bit of warmth. It seemed Ethan wasn't completely heartless toward her. "Thank you." Amelia wasn't pretentious. She accepted the keys and a check for $20 million from Ethan. Amelia wasn't a submissive woman. She knew how cruel society was. To survive in this society, one needed money. However, all the Miller Group shares had been given to Ethan. Now that Ethan voluntarily offered some money, and since her body couldn't handle going out to work to support herself, she could only rely on this $20 million to live. Amelia believed that as long as she was frugal, she could live well. Moreover, Ethan was taking care of her mother's side. He promised to cover all medical expenses, so he definitely would. After leaving the villa, the first place Amelia went was to see her house. Ethan was a relatively qualified husband. Although the villa he gave Amelia wasn't huge, it was enough for her to live alone. Plus, this villa could earn her some pocket money by renting out rooms. The villa had 3 floors, and each floor was fully equipped with a kitchen and bathroom. Originally, Amelia thought that since there was nothing left for her in this world, her mother's situation was proceeding according to plan, she would find a quiet place. She liked to end her life after everything was settled. But then she thought, there is actually a lot of beauty in this world, and she should grasp it. That was her mother. As long as she woke up, Amelia felt that all the grievances she suffered now were worth it. Thinking of this, Amelia felt comforted again, feeling full of strength. However, due to losing a kidney, her health fluctuated, and she had to take medicine to maintain it. There were caregivers in the hospital, so Amelia didn't need to worry about no one taking care of her mother. She only needed to take care of herself and wait patiently for her mother to wake up. As for Ethan, Amelia could only sincerely wish him and Nina a happy life together. So Amelia's thought of suicide was dispelled. On the other hand, Samuel, worried that Amelia might commit suicide, came to Amelia's villa every day. Samuel was a lawyer who helped many people. Although Amelia didn't tell him her specific location, Samuel still found the villa where Amelia lived through his connections. "Look at you, you still can't take care of yourself even now. It's so late and you haven't eaten yet." When Samuel arrived, Amelia was still sleeping in bed. Amelia trusted Samuel very much. After he came for a few days in a row, Amelia simply gave him a key to the villa. Samuel unintentionally learned from Amelia that she was looking for tenants, so he simply offered to rent the place himself, asking Amelia not to rent it to others. Amelia refused at first, but couldn't withstand Samuel's persistence. In the end, Amelia agreed to Samuel's request to rent the house. Because of their good relationship, Amelia didn't charge a high rent. Renting 2 floors at once was a piece of cake for Samuel. Thus, Amelia and Samuel lived together, one upstairs and one downstairs. Usually, Samuel got off work early and would buy ingredients to cook delicious food to help Amelia recover. Under Samuel's careful care, Amelia looked healthier than before and gained some weight. Ethan hadn't seen Amelia for months. He actually missed and worried about her, but due to preparing for his engagement to Nina in recent months, he couldn't find the time. Only once, when Amelia went to the hospital to visit her mother, Ethan happened to be there too. The two didn't say much. Amelia only exchanged a glance with Ethan. This Amelia made Ethan feel uncomfortable because previously, Amelia always tried to please him and was extremely gentle. Now, she was less than a stranger. Moreover, he was paying for her mother's medical bills. Thinking of this, Ethan's arrogance and inherent rebelliousness began to act up. "Amelia, although we are divorced now, you don't need to treat me like an outsider." Amelia was wiping her mother's hands with warm water. Suddenly hearing Ethan say this, she felt slightly taken aback. "Mr. Sterling, you must be mistaken. Although we were husband and wife, we have no relationship since signing the divorce agreement. Although the agreement specifies you must pay all my mother's medical expenses, it doesn't stipulate that I must speak to you or show a friendly attitude." Amelia had regained her former pride. The humble Amelia was gone, replaced by this version, which surprised Ethan, who was used to her submissive self. More than surprise, he felt fear. "My engagement ceremony with Nina is in a few days. I hope you, as the ex-wife, will definitely come to attend." Finally, looking at Amelia's rebellious eyes, Ethan admitted defeat and said this sentence as he left. This sentence completely destroyed Amelia's last bit of thought and love for Ethan. But more than that, it was heartache. They hadn't been divorced for long, and Ethan was getting engaged to Nina in the blink of an eye, disregarding the cold gossip of outsiders. It seemed that in Ethan's heart and eyes, only Nina was important. Everyone else was just passing clouds, not worth mentioning. "Mr. Sterling, rest assured, I will definitely come to attend your engagement ceremony with Nina. I just hope my good best friend and Mr. Sterling will be together for 100 years. After saying this, Amelia applauded quickly. Only Amelia knew how painful her heart was after saying those words. Then Amelia quickly adjusted her emotions, turning to look at Ethan with calm eyes. Ethan, seeing absolutely no emotion in Amelia's eyes, was very angry. He thought she was a fickle woman. A moment ago she said she loved him, but hearing the news of his engagement, she was indifferent, showing no sadness at all. Ethan left the hospital feeling indignant. Amelia stayed in the hospital taking care of her mother, until late at night. Worried, Samuel called and found out Amelia was at the hospital, so he drove to pick her up. "There are caregivers in the hospital. Your body isn't well. Auntie has people looking after her. You need to look after your own body. Don't overwork yourself." Samuel thought Amelia stayed late because she feared the caregivers wouldn't be thorough. He didn't expect Amelia was reacting abnormally because she learned of Nina and Ethan's engagement, disregarding her health to care for her mother late at night. Ethan and Nina are getting engaged. After a long time, Amelia finally voiced the reason for her abnormality. Hearing this, Samuel's heart skipped a beat, feeling distressed. "So that's it, but I still hope you can face this calmly. Don't suppress too many negative emotions in your heart. If you have anything sad, you can tell me. Holding it in is bad for your health." Samuel loved Amelia to the bone, so he thought of her in everything. To Amelia, this felt like a punishment, making her blame herself even more. Amelia knew exactly what Samuel was thinking, but she couldn't give him any response. Amelia knew she wouldn't live long. If she gave Samuel too much hope in the end, Samuel would suffer the most shock and pain. For several days, Amelia barely came downstairs. Samuel even brought her meals up to her, because Amelia hadn't been in good spirits since learning about Ethan and Nina's engagement. "Look at you now. How can you attend Ethan and Nina's engagement party like this?" Samuel genuinely ached for Amelia. The proud, high-flying Amelia of the past was gone. The current Amelia, having suffered so many setbacks and hurts, had become a hedgehog covered in thorns, restraining her vulnerable parts and exposing only prickly defenses for protection. "Don't worry, I will definitely attend their engagement party on time." The engagement party was held as scheduled. This made Nina feel incredibly happy and excited because now she finally had another identity, the lady of the Sterling group. Nina was too excited. She had waited for this day for a long time and planned for a long time. However, the only thing she was dissatisfied with was that Ethan hadn't submitted the divorce agreement between him and Amelia. Thus, legally, Ethan and Nina were not protected as husband and wife, whereas Ethan and Amelia were. I discovered something very strange. It puzzles me greatly. Why did you offer no resistance when Ethan asked you to donate a kidney to Nina? That's not your character. That's what I owe Nina. Because when I was driving back then, the accident put her in a coma for days and weakened her body, requiring a kidney transplant to sustain her life. If not for me, Nina wouldn't have suffered so much pain. I was the instigator of that accident. I wasn't careful enough, didn't check the brakes, which caused Nina's injury and suffering. I deserve all of this. Amelia closed her eyes, indicating she didn't want to talk. Hearing this, Samuel was greatly shocked. Actually, that car accident was definitely man-made. I've always felt this matter was suspicious. Don't worry, I will investigate. If someone plotted this behind the scenes, I will get justice for you and won't let the person who framed you get away with it. Amelia had always believed her own negligence caused the serious consequences, never suspecting the accident was intentional. Actually, I have doubts too. My car is sent for maintenance every day. It shouldn't have had any problems. Why did it crash just then? Moreover, I checked the rearview mirror. There was no truck. When I tried to stop the car, the brakes suddenly failed. I had no defense when the truck rushed over. The more Amelia spoke, the more suspicious she felt the matter was. While talking, Samuel had already driven the car to the venue of the engagement party. I will definitely investigate this matter. Your urgent task now is to recover your health peacefully. Leave the rest to me. Today, Amelia wore an extremely beautiful gown. The white off-shoulder design displayed her slender swan neck and perfect figure to everyone. Everyone was stunned by Amelia. Her limelight even overshadowed Nina today. Nina had specifically gone abroad to choose a favorite gown for today's engagement ceremony. It was a global limited edition, the only one of its kind. Unexpectedly, Amelia stole the show today. Nina hated Amelia even more in her heart, wishing to show off her love in front of Amelia, immediately to provoke her. Ethan, look, Amelia is over there. Should we go over and say hello? Ethan had seen Amelia as soon as she entered. It was just that with so many guests present, he didn't go over to meet her. More importantly, Amelia hadn't looked at him once since entering, which made Ethan jealous of the man beside her. Ethan recognized him at a glance. Why did Samuel come to his engagement party with Amelia? And Amelia came in his car. Were they living together? This thought echoed in Ethan's mind, so he didn't even realize Nina was calling him. Let's go. Nina affectionately held Ethan's arm and walked up to Amelia, her eyes full of boasting. I didn't expect you to come to my and Ethan's wedding, Amelia. With your blessing, Ethan and I will surely live happily ever after. Amelia felt very heartache inside, but on the surface, she had to smile and bless them. Yes, you're right. I'm here today to wish you a happy engagement. I wish you a long life together, united hearts forever, and may you have a chubby baby in the future, preferably twins. Mentioning children, Ethan's guilt toward Amelia deepened. Thank you for your blessing. Ethan and I will definitely have our own lovely, healthy baby. Too bad yours died in the womb before it could be born. Hearing these words made Samuel feel extremely unhappy. Clearly, this woman was the one making trouble, causing Amelia's miscarriage. If not for her, the child would probably be born by now. Since you aren't feeling well, let's go back after the ceremony. The food here isn't very healthy. I customized a healthy diet plan for you. I'll cook for you when we get back at noon. Samuel said this for Ethan to hear. Sure enough, Ethan's face turned darker after hearing it. Are you two living together? Is that why you travel together and you cook for her? Amelia nodded and said nothing more. Ethan looked at Amelia through gritted teeth, his threat obvious. Amelia, don't forget, don't get too close to other men. I'm paying your mother's medical bills. The engagement ceremony was held as scheduled. Amelia stood below, watching Ethan put the priceless diamond ring on Nina, feeling heart-wrenching pain. When she married Ethan, let alone a ring, Ethan didn't even give her a good face. This was the difference in treatment. Facing the person he loved, Ethan was always different from how he treated outsiders. Before the engagement ceremony ended, Amelia left the venue citing ill health. Unexpectedly, the next day, Ethan came to visit, aiming to see if Amelia and Samuel were really living together. You really are living together. I really underestimated your ability to charm men. Ethan's sarcastic words flustered Amelia. It's not what you imagine. Because Samuel went out early today to find someone to investigate the car accident, only Ethan and Amelia were in the villa. Not what I imagine. I saw Samuel leaving your villa with my own eyes. Plus, there's a man's cologne smell in this room and Samuel's shirts. All signs point to you living together. You loose woman, hooking up with another man just months after separating from me. It seems your previous gentleness and words of love were just surface acting for me. Ethan's words embarrassed Amelia greatly and made her heartache. Heartache felt as natural as breathing only when facing Ethan. I said it's not what you think. My relationship with Samuel is just friends. I think the term loose suits Mr. Sterling better. While with me, you were already loving Nina. Months after our divorce, you got engaged to her, broadcasting it loudly for fear outsiders wouldn't know Nina is the mistress. Amelia's retort left Ethan speechless, but he felt a little happy inside. Did Amelia saying this mean she still had him in her heart? Was she jealous? In a great mood, Ethan took the contract from his briefcase and placed it on Amelia's sofa. This is the divorce agreement you signed back then. I never submitted it, so our relationship is still legally husband and wife. This completely shocked Amelia. Since you didn't submit this contract, why get engaged to Nina? Is it just to have feet in two boats? Or do you feel guilty toward me? If Mr. Sterling feels guilty, there's no need. We owe each other nothing. Seeing each other again, we are at most friends. These were the harshest words Amelia had said to Ethan in all the years they had known each other. Ethan left in low spirits. Samuel rarely returned to the villa for half a month because he was investigating the accident. I've found the truth about what happened back then. Nina tampered with your car because she was afraid you would marry Ethan. She broke the brakes and then found that truck driver. Her intention was to crush you to death, but she didn't expect to hurt herself. Is the evidence conclusive? If there is no evidence, we cannot sue Nina. Samuel didn't speak, but showed Amelia all the documents in his hand. The documents revealed all of Nina's ugly deeds from back then. HMPH, it seems Nina is truly deep and calculating. To get what she wants, she spares no cost. It seems I really can't let her continue. The next day, Amelia sued Nina with that information. Nina never expected the events of the past to be exposed and panicked instantly. I didn't do it, you have to believe me, why won't anyone believe me? This evidence must be Amelia framing me. Even after being locked in prison, Nina kept making excuses for herself. Amelia brought the truck driver directly in front of Nina to confront her. Nina was speechless and finally could only admit her crimes by default. After knowing the truth, Ethan felt extremely guilty toward Amelia, realizing he had wronged her about the past events. But many things had already happened and couldn't be undone. Amelia also indicated she didn't want to see Ethan again. Yet, Ethan was thick-skinned. He waited outside Amelia's villa every day, holding a bouquet of flowers, different every day, wanting Amelia to see him once. Amelia actually still had Ethan in her heart. Otherwise, she wouldn't watch Ethan from the window every day. If you really love him, you can try to let go of past grievances and be with him peacefully. Samuel finally couldn't stand it anymore and said this to Amelia. Actually, I also want to let go of the past and be with Ethan. But you know my body, I won't live long. I don't want to give too many people more negative emotions. Moreover, my mother's condition is getting better now. As long as Ethan's guilt and affection for me remain, he won't ignore my mother. Samuel told Ethan what Amelia said. Ethan suddenly realized that although he had done so many things to hurt Amelia, it wasn't too late to make amends. Amelia, I know I did many things to let you down before, but now I hope you give me a chance. I will definitely treat you well and won't let you get hurt for me again, because I found that the person I love is actually you. I get jealous when you talk and smile with other men. I worry when you are unwell. These emotions were never there, not even this strong when facing Nina. After Amelia's mother woke up, Ethan ran into the ward with 999 roses to confess to Amelia. Amelia wanted to refuse, but her mother insisted she give Ethan a chance. Added to Samuel's matchmaking from the side, Amelia finally couldn't resist her feelings for Ethan and agreed to be with him properly to spend the last beautiful moments of life. Ethan put aside company affairs, handing all work to his assistant, and took Amelia and her mother to travel the world. As for Samuel, he opened his own law firm and continued to help those in need.